Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start the workshop. I am Tanya Wilson, your Community Planning and Development Director. I also want to welcome those that are viewing online. I know we have some folks that are tuning in virtually. Welcome to tonight's workshop. You're going to be hearing a lot of information regarding the city's comprehensive plan, the update process, the state requirements in terms of review. For those of you that have been through this exercise before, you know that it's done every 7 years. So believe it or not, we're again at that 7th year point where we'll be going through the visioning process of looking at the city's comprehensive plan, really determining what our priorities are as a city as it relates to land use and development. So I will say it is the most important document from a land use and development standpoint in the city, and it's so good that there are folks that are interested in the city's future that are here to be a part of that information gathering and the decision-making process. So with that, I'm going to introduce my staff who will be taking over. We have Mr. Derek Cook, who serves as the city's zoning manager. So he'll be walking you through some of the details of what's required based on state statutes, why we're here, talking about the components of the comprehensive plan. You'll also hear from our city planner, Debbie Love. She too will be sharing in terms of the priorities. What are some of the things that we should focus on moving forward and projecting and looking at the city's comprehensive plan that's in place. So with that, thanks again for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We hope that you have a good time tonight. When that's typical. Right. So, the thing we're going to do, you guys, a little bit about. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to learn a little bit about the comprehensive plan and the update process, as Tanya mentioned. You're also going to learn a little bit about what happens after tonight, what are the next steps in this process. And then finally, we're going to get together as a group and we're going to do some brainstorming on some preliminary topics of interest for the success of the city's future. So with that, I'm going to introduce Derek Cook, our zoning manager, and Mr. Cook, it's all yours, sir.
Thank you, Debbie. Good evening, everyone. As you have heard from Tanya Wilson and from Debbie, we'll be dealing with the comprehensive plan for this evening. And as Tanya has stated, it's the most important document that we have in the city as it relates to land development and land use in the city, in that it is the foundation for how we move forward in the city future-wise, and it is the foundation for our land development regulations. So once we go through the comprehensive plan process and creating that, then we'll have to also go back and modify the land development regulations so it can correspond with any changes that we have implemented in the comprehensive plan. With that said, let's move on. So, what is an evaluation and appraisal review? The EAR, as we call it as an acronym, and it serves as meeting the state requirement for mandated comprehensive plan and review at least once every 7 years, as Ms. Wilson spoke of earlier. So what does that mean? So we have two components that we are looking at as part of our comprehensive plan. A, changes to the state requirements, and B, changes to local conditions. So these are the two elements that we're going to look at and trying to implement into our comprehensive plan moving forward, and trying to meet what needs we have in the city and what needs that you as the citizens believe are germane to our city to help with the development of our city. So in the aspect of the state requirements, you see is a review of the state statutes as it relates to 2015 to 2021. So why do we have that area of that chronological area that we spoke of? Because in 2024, 2025 is when we went through the process of modifying our comprehensive plan. In 2026 is when we adopted the plan. So what has transpired in those 7 years is what we are looking at as it relates to the state and what changes their standard we'll need to implement. And then we're going to talk about changes in the local conditions. Since we have here health and wellness, technological infrastructure, and environmental protection. The role of the comprehensive city plan. So it expresses the long-range vision for the city. It is the policy framework is adopted by the mayor and city council for guiding local decision-making. The city plan includes 11 elements, subjects, such as the future, land use, transportation, housing, infrastructure, coastal management, conservation, park and recreation, intergovernmental coordination, economic opportunity, and capital improvement and climate change. So if you can hear, there's certain things in there that I think is very important that we've been hearing a lot about. As you're talking about the climate change and economic development, there's something that we're all looking to strive for in the city to keep it growing, to bring in businesses that can help with the development of the city and make us strive as a city as we grow. And then we have data and analysis base, and we have development decisions must be consistent with the plan. And last, you have the EAR, the evaluation appraisal review, as we spoke of earlier, which was updated, as I stated earlier, in April of 2016. So the comprehensive plan process, what you see here is the floor plan or the flow chart on how we go through the comprehensive plan. And if you can see what's in the center, always at the heart of our comprehensive plan is public participation. It's key. You as the citizens' involvement in how we develop our comprehensive plan helps with us in meeting our future development and our future vision for the city. So you help characterize what elements that we want to have in our city, in our comprehensive plan, and what policies that we want to have in the comprehensive plan. So as you can see here, you have the EAR, as we spoke of, and then you have recommendation strategies for the updating of the EAR. Then you have the draft amendment based on the EAR. You have the adopted plan amendments, and then you have the plan implementation, land development regulations, and updates. So let me break that down a little bit. So what we have here is your first step is that we get the EAR, we write a report, and we send it up to the Department of Economic Opportunity. And then we give recommendations. We sit with you, the community, like tonight. You give us recommendations on what you would like to have as part of our comprehensive plan. We implement that in our strategies and recommendations for the plan. And then we have the draft of the plan. We go through the draft. It goes before the city council for review, first the planning commission for recommendation to city council, and then city council for adoption. And then once that happens, that's sent up to the state. And then once that happens, the next step, as I spoke of earlier, we have to revise our land development regulations so it can correspond with the changes that we have implemented in the comprehensive plan. So, as I have alluded to in the last slide, here is how the steps are. First step staff had a briefing with the city manager about the comprehensive plan and where we want to go and get ideas on what we would like to have implemented. The second step was a briefing to city council about what steps we're going to take to implement the comprehensive plan. And then our third step is that all of the divisions within the city, we got together and we had a meeting to discuss what are important elements that we would like to see implemented in the comprehensive plan. And then we have tonight a brainstorming. with you as the community involvement in elements that you would see are important with the comprehensive plan. And then again, we'll have another public workshop. And then finally, we have the ear that is transmitted to the Department of Economic Opportunity. It's a letter that is sent by Ms. Love to them for their review. What comes next? After we transmit the ear to the Department of Economic Opportunity, then the next stage is the adopted or amended land development regulations, be consistent with the implemented comprehensive plan. So as I spoke of on several occasions within this process, we have gone through what we have first. We have the comprehensive plan review. We do modifications to the comprehensive plan. Those modifications involve what? State statutes that have transpired within the last year that we need to implement it in the comprehensive plan. And B, the local conditions that you as the community think are important that we have implemented into the comprehensive plan. And once we do that, then we implement the changes into our land development regulations, which is, in a sense, the law that governs how we develop the city. Thank you. Ms. Love.
Thank you for that. That was great, Mr. Cook. I'm very, hopefully everyone understands a little bit more about the comprehensive plan process. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a brainstorming session with you tonight. We have, as Derek said, we met internally with the city manager and with all the various divisions within the city and came up with a preliminary list of hot topics, what the state calls changing conditions, but we're calling them hot topics. But before we do that, in 2016, during the last year, actually in 2014, during the last year process, these the words that you see up on the screen are what the community said was the vision that they would like to see for the future of the city at the time. The larger the word, the more prominent and often it was mentioned. For example, you'll see a big job opportunities. You'll see MoCA. They wanted larger scale development, vibrant, more trees. Looking at things like being connected, green streets. So that was the vision in 2014 that the comprehensive plan tried to address through goals, objectives, and policies that were adopted in 2015. So back then, what did we hear as the biggest challenge? Well, branding appeal of apparently how the city looked. Congestion, what is the perception that we have here in the city? Poverty, transportation. So those were the challenges that at that time was important to the community. So tonight we're going to do some brainstorming with you of new topics that have started trending, that you think will make the city more successful and resilient in the future. There's only 4 rules that we have, is that the more ideas, the better. That there's no idea is bad. Welcoming innovative, out-of-the-box kind of thinking, I love that term. And building upon others' ideas, combining ideas and improving each other's ideas. So what we want you to do is we're going to do a series of questions via a survey. We would like for you to take your phone out or go online to pollev.com/Debbie, AICP 684. Or you could try the text. So I'm going to give you a minute or so to get there. Everybody okay? You're in? Give you another minute or so? Because we have to be out of here at 6:30, so we have a half an hour. So I'm going to give everybody, I'm going to be pushing you hard tonight. You in? Okay. I'm hoping that everyone watching at home or wherever you are is able to get in. So what we're going to start with is hot topic number 1, human health and wellness. Under each of these major topics are subtopics. Some of them that we've come up with so far is COVID-19 recovery, food security, mental health and wellness, and design for walkability. Let me give you an example. Many communities are doing walkability audits to not only see how their streets could be safe and usable, not just for the average person who's walking down the street, but everybody. So doing walkability audits, I think, is going to be an important issue for our city as we want to become more pedestrian friendly and transit oriented. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, at this point, you should be able to answer question number 1. You can just put first name or initials, whatever you'd like. Doesn't track you. Are you able to answer the question? All it wants you to do is add additional subtopics to that category. It's an open question. And this is thinking, again, health, human health and wellness. That is correct. We are adding subtopics related to human health and wellness that we didn't pick up in the preliminary ones that I showed you earlier. And walkability was already a subtopic. So if you support it and you want to emphasize it, you're more than welcome to re-emphasize it, or you could add additional subtopics, whatever your choice is. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes for each of these so we can stay on task. And what you'll see, again, as I showed you before, the word clouds from 2014, you'll see up on the screen the word clouds that are appearing based on your answers. Yeah, that's what is showing up on the screen. You just type in there and it will come up on the screen automatically. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you about another 30 seconds and then we're going to move on so you have an opportunity for the next hot topic. We're getting more and more answers coming in. Okay, let's go to the next hot topic. Our next hot topic is technology, infrastructure, and access. It's providing broadband citywide, hardware, software, accessibility to, for example, Tanya had mentioned at our internal work session that having laptops and software for students, particularly during COVID, for home use, there was a challenge, as well as online accessibility. We're looking to create a tech business focus for the city and looking to become a smart city. And let me explain a little bit about that one while you all are thinking. Streetlights is an example. A smart city utilizes data to improve services for the community. It's also utilized for economic development. Streetlights is a great example of a smart lighting system where it serves multi-purposes, everything from signage to e-vehicle charging. It can be solar-driven. It can provide, real-time data to the city. So, thinking about a smart city. So, with that in mind, let's have you all weigh in on additional subtopics beyond what we just showed you. Additional subtopics under that category of technology and infrastructure access that you over and above what we've already added, or if you agree with it, you can re-emphasize and enter it in again under technology and infrastructure access. I'm going to give you about another minute or so, and then we'll go to our next hot topic. Broadband was a really big emphasis placed on broadband. Okay, I'm assuming that everybody has, we're going to close this one out, and we'll move on to our next hot topic. We have one more. This is a big catch-all, environmental protection, and there's a lot of subtopics and plenty more that I'm sure that you all could think of. Thinking about tree canopy, improving our tree canopy, that's critical to urban greening. They absorb greenhouse gases, they cool the environment. They actually are shown that if you have trees adjacent to your property or adjacent to your business, you actually have a greater retail experience into your business. Biscayne Bay, everybody's heard about all of the blue-green algae blooms and what they're trying to do with the pollution in Biscayne Bay, and the city is actually taking a very proactive approach to how we are looking at septic to sewer conversions in the city. Flooding, now this is inclusive of sunny day flooding, as well as flooding that results from sea level rise. And then climate gentrification. And while you're thinking about additional subtopics, let me talk to you a bit about climate gentrification. What we're seeing already is that the desire for homes away from the most vulnerable areas is actually increasing. So there are higher sales on inland, and the sales prices, which used to be the most inexpensive homes, are now the values are going up higher, and there are higher sales, higher number of sales for inland. So what you're seeing is a potential for where the houses were more affordable. Actually, now the folks that have more money are coming in and moving into those areas, which increases the property values, which is a good thing, but it also could potentially displace others who are living there, and maybe they'll have an opportunity to sell their home and move into something bigger, but we just are a little bit concerned about potential for climate gentrification. So now I'm going to turn it back to the poll and let you add some additional subtopics of your own. They're listed on your agenda, by the way, the ones that we already have, if that helps you to recall what was up there. Again, if you agree with those that are there, please feel free to re-emphasize that. Again, we're going to give you a minute or so. Okay, we're going to do another 30 seconds, and then we're going to close this out. Well, septic and flooding is definitely high on the priority list. Okay, thank you for that. Let's go into the next one. Oh, wow, we just had a big change here. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Now it's going to be your turn to add additional ideas of your own for a hot topic. Out of the 3 that we gave you, you may have others that weren't shown that you think might be helpful in the success of our city in the future. And again, I'm going to give you about a minute. Okay, we're at the 30-second mark. See, the branding appeared again this year around in how the city is branded. It was the same issue that was raised in 2014 and 2015 during the previous year. So how the city is branded is going to be important to the community. Give you a few more seconds here to take any last minute responses. Very good. So with that, that is the actual end of our presentation and our work session. But we're here to answer, we wanted to give at least a good 10 minutes before we need to close out in anticipation for City Council to answer any questions that you may have. And unfortunately, I cannot answer the questions for anybody watching us remotely, but feel free to send your emails to me at dlove, L-O-V-E, at northmiamifl.gov, and I'd be more than happy to try to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I'll make sure I find the person who does know the answer, and we'll get back with you as soon as we can. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Okay, a good question. Derek had briefly spoke about that early on. So what's going to happen tonight, after tonight, is we're going to prepare the EAR response for the state. We'll let them know that, yes, we're going to be amending our comp plan based upon Florida statutes changes. There's been a couple of changes, as you saw in the earlier. One is the peril of flood legislation. Another is a recent bill that was signed by the governor as to how we handle home-based businesses. So we have to look at the changes in Florida statute since the last year and today. We'll let them know that we do plan to amend our comp plan. The EAR letter has to be submitted to the state by 12/1. After that, beginning in January, we're going to start the comprehensive plan update process, where we'll have, as Derek said earlier, we'll be setting up public engagement plan for how to engage and talk with you and get your feedback throughout the amendment development process before it goes to Planning Commission. The final set of amendments goes to Planning Commission, City Council, and then back to the state. And then the last step, of course, as Derek mentioned, is amending the land development regulations. So we expect everything has to be completed. The comprehensive plan amendments have to be completed by 12/1 of 22. And a year later, we have to have the LDRs, amended LDRs adopted within 1 year of that. So it's a pretty heavy, quick process, but there's a lot of things to do in that process. Any other questions? Yes, sir. No, 7 years ago, you started your EAR process in 2014 and adopted the amendments, the comp plan, in 2015. Actually, Kenny, if you'd like to come up to the microphone, but I'll answer it. Yeah.
So it would be next year that we're looking at in the comp plan and in the land development regulations to upgrade them, like if we come up with ideas of increasing the height, density, so forth and so on, that would be up for discussion then next year.
That's correct, during that
Okay.
amendment process, because one of the things that we are talking about are the hot topics that will guide that process. So it's not going, tonight's not going to pick up every single thing, everything that comes out, but that process will begin in January.
You know, like one of the things that we brought up was bonus points, so forth and so on, rooftop gardens and that type of thing, or more percolation in the ground, more landscaping, that type of, so that all would be brought up, and we would have public discussion on that next year?
Starting next year, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anything else? Anyone else? Wait. You go ahead and say it, Tanya.
So I just wanted to clarify that this process is really just preliminary. This is to meet the state requirement. As you know, there's an ear letter that's required in December. So this is just a preliminary stage to make sure the city is prepared, submit a letter to the Department of Economic Opportunity. But next year, you can anticipate extensive workshops. You'll be seeing a lot more of staff going around the city from west to central to east to make sure all the comments have been received, every rock has been overturned, and folks are fully involved in the process. So we do this every 7 years. If you've been involved in the previous process, you know it's a very long process in terms of adoption. It's a 12-month point beyond December. So you'll have more bites at the apple. I don't want for the folks sitting at home, I know Sarah came bravely through the rain. For folks who were deterred by the rain, I want to give them that assurance that you'll still have more opportunities to weigh in and have extensive conversations with city staff regarding the. So that's what I want.
That's a great point. Anything else? Okay. Well then, I think we've met our time limit, and I appreciate your participation and everyone at home who took the time to work with us on this particular point in our journey, our 2-year journey to the adoption of the LDRs. Have a great rest of the night, everyone. Thank you so much.